This is Reynolds Podcast, The Creative Mindset. Hi everyone, welcome to The Creative Mindset, a podcast about what the future holds at the intersection of creativity and technology. I'm Ray Namoto, the founding partner of Untitled, a global innovation firm based in New York, Tokyo, and Singapore. Today's guest is Onuoha, a Dutch/Nigerian trichologist based in Amsterdam who creates content about hair and scalp care for women around the world. In part one of my conversation with Angela, I asked her about her journey to becoming a full-time creator. If you haven't listened to it, please do have a listen. In part two, we get into the nuts and bolts of her day-to-day, a day in the life of a creator. So let's get started. So tell us about what your day is like. Is it 9 to 6, 9 to 5? Is it Monday through Friday? What is it like?
Gosh.
Yeah, tell us your day and tell us about your week.
What I normally do is actually my week starts on Sunday where I kind of plan out the week. What am I doing? Are there any meetings planned? Check those out because I do still have meetings. Even though I have an agency, I do still have meetings with certain brands that I really have personal contact with, but also with my management. So I look at those things. Then I pinpoint the content that I've already made when I'm going to post that, because there is a structure in when I post what. Normally on Monday or Tuesday, I do like a trichology based video. A lot of the times a response video to content that I've seen on TikTok or like myth busting. Halfway throughout the week, I talk about skincare or about an ingredient. So there is a kind of a structure in the content that I post. So I plan that out. And then I plan out what I'm going to film during that week. And a lot of the times Mondays and Wednesdays and sometimes Saturdays are like filming days for me because like throughout the week, sometimes a trend pops up or something online pops up that I'm like, oh, I need to respond on that right now. I need to make a video right now. So that's why I put it throughout the week, like these filming blocks, I would say. I also still do trichology consultations. I do them online and I don't do them as frequent anymore just because of the time, honestly, that I have. But I always look at, do I have any trichology consultations planned in? So to work around that. And yeah, then Monday, as mentioned, filming day. So I film a bunch of content. If I still have some time left, I start editing, but a lot of the times the editing will come the day after. I have hired a content assistant for 16 hours to help me out with that. So I edit the day after. Then Wednesdays, a lot of the times I have meetings with my management. So we have like bi-weekly looking at what we're doing right now, which opportunities we have like in the loop when it comes to collaborations or like anything of that matter. We discuss then. And like Thursday and Fridays, honestly, really, I keep them as like open as possible because anything can pop up during the week. So those are the days that I kind of freestyle. So for example, today it's, oh, perfect. So today we're going to have this podcast. That's where I'm most flexible.
Got it.
Because in this industry, everything can shift within a couple of days. Right. So I would say that's what my week looks like. But I have to be honest, I work during the weekends a lot as well, because during the weekend, I don't know why, but I feel more inspired to create some content. Maybe because I feel like it's my day off, even though it ends up not being my day off. But yeah.
Yeah. So now you've been doing this for about 4 years, you said?
Yeah, full-time 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you posting every day? It sounds like you have a fairly scheduled, structured weekly calendar. Yeah. But yeah, what's your posting schedule like?
So it used to be every day, but I also have noticed that, especially in the beginning, it used to be every day, but I've noticed that there's also like online, like fewer fatigue where people also get sick of you. So for Instagram, I post like every other day, sometimes a little bit more. Nevertheless, it's always every other day to give them kind of a breather of a day, and also for the app to even let it show up in feed, because that also is a little bit slower nowadays. On TikTok, I am supposed to post every day because I do feel like since it's such a new app still, you still have opportunity to show up on people's pages that are not following you yet. So I'm getting more into the daily posting, but for now, that's also every other day, but that should be daily. And I feel like at the start of every new app, you should post daily. just because of that algorithm and showing up, and there's such a new audience. But like for an app like Instagram, I post like every other day. And I feel like that's the sweet spot where I feel like people really enjoy watching it and they're not sick of me like popping up every day.
Yeah.
And for TikTok, it should be daily.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that.
Yeah. Are you being specific with certain platforms? Are you focused on Instagram? Do you still keep your YouTube channel? How are you using TikTok? Like, how do you differentiate different platforms?
Yeah, for now, the focus definitely is Instagram, but I'm doing more on TikTok now as well, because there's obviously also a shift. So you also need to adjust to that. For now, I'm mainly reposting the same content, but I do want to differentiate like TikTok form content to like Instagram. I want TikTok to be a little bit more short form, a little bit more snappy, but I do need help with that. And I eventually also want to go back on YouTube, but I still need to figure out in what way, shape, and form to make it also sustainable for me to do. And that's also why I got a part-time content assistant to also really help me out with that I have space to also think about that and do that.
Yeah. How do you engage with your audience? I'm sure you get hundreds of messages. What's your typical procedure like?
Yeah. So what I normally like to do is I have 30 minutes blocked every morning to respond to things. So it could be comments, but a lot of the times it's DMs. I also get a lot of direct messages. So I would say that I try to interact in my Instagram stories. So sometimes I have that they can pop in a question, or I show them what my week looks like. And then I'm asking like, what is your highlight of the week? Or what is the most important thing you're going to do during the week? I do have to say that's still something that I'm working on. And that's the thing that I'm working on this year, because my content is so educational that sometimes, in my personal opinion, it lacks personality in a sense of I don't show my private life too much. That's a personal decision, by the way. I do that on purpose, but I do want to show a little bit of me more. So that is still something that I'm working on, and I think that I could be better at. But there's so many messages. Honestly, it's a lot. And the sucky part is that's something that I really need to do. I cannot hire people to answer for me because I'm the only one that can answer them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But are you responding to all of them, or are you choosing certain ones to respond?
I try, but in reality, I'm not able to. Back in the days, I could, like I was able to answer everyone, but now I would say I'm able to answer like 70%. And it depends on.
Wow. Still pretty good though.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I still feel like it's not enough, but it's really because I block it. If I don't block that time to do it, it would maybe only be 30 because it's so much. It's really a lot.
I would assume that there are people who may try to mimic you or who may try to copy what you do. So my question is, how do you differentiate yourself?
I think the uniqueness is that I can simplify science. And I think that now that's also where the cosmetic chemistry comes in, that I used to do the styling part. So I know how a product can perform, but a lot of people also want to know the science behind a product. So for example, how can a product repair hair damage? So I can simplify the science and the technologies of those products and what they can do to achieve that.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that makes me different is me as a person. And I think that everyone should view it as that. Like the wheel's already invented. So you end up always copying each other. There's always something that you get inspired by that you low-key copy. But I think that me as a person, I make the difference. And I think that also what makes a difference, because next to everything online, I also work on a consultancy base for brands offline. Sometimes they ask me if, for example, there's a new product launch for hair care, they want me to talk about a certain subject, like, for example, hair damage. I give a little workshop about that. So I think that also what makes me different, and maybe it's a generational thing, is that I'm the same in person as well. I love to interact with people. I think that sometimes there is a difference in online creator and when you meet them in person. I love talking to people in person as well. So I think that's what makes me different. Other than that, I think everything. You can copy everything from everyone.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what you can't really copy is a personality.
It's who you are.
Yeah. I think that's the thing.
Yeah. Speaking of copying, though, I noticed there are numerous, unlimited amount of how-tos on growing your audience on Instagram and things like that. And some of them are very myopic. Oh, go into this setting on the browser, not on your mobile, and turn this on and turn this off, and write this or don't write this. Post onto stories, but don't repost, like numerous how-tos.
Yeah.
Do you obsess about those little algorithmic details, or do you purely focus on the content, the nature of the content?
Yeah, to be super honest, I don't. I sometimes think I should. There is really no strategy. I think that's the thing. Yeah, like obviously I do try to look into if there's like a video that I see going viral on TikTok with a myth or something that I'm like, oh, that needs some explanation. I hop on that. That might be a strategy. But I think for me personally, I think that the only strategy is sharing the right knowledge and backing that up with certain studies and stuff like that. But I'm not that strategic. No. Yeah. I think the only thing is that there was a period in time that I was doing too many different things. So I was also showing me working out and like things that weren't relatable to beauty. And that was a strategy to see like how that would work. And it ended up not really working out too well. So it was like, you know what? You can show yourself working out, but put it on your stories. It's not working within a video post. We sometimes do look at certain things, but like for now, I feel like I know what's working. And obviously if the industry changes, I'll shift as well. But for now, that's the strategy. Yeah. I do have like quarterly meetings with my agency to really discuss certain things, like how certain content has been going and what made that so successful. That helps. But to be super honest, I think that as soon as you start to obsess over that, you take the fun out of it. As a creator, if you really want to make a living out of it, you really need to think about sustainability of what you do, and you need to enjoy what you do. So you need to find whatever the subject or the niche or whatever it is that you want to do, that it's sustainable. If you would only look at statistics, you will only do things to go viral. And I don't think that's sustainable, because then you're going to hop on trends just to continue to be on that wave. And I don't think that's a sustainable way of creating personally. And I think that at the end of the day, what I really focus on is the quality of what I'm talking about. So that's like high quality, like my filming equipment, the sound. I really focus on those things. And I really also have noticed and got feedback from brands as well, is that they book me for my knowledge and they book me for the quality of the videos that I put out. So like high quality footage, high quality sound, not even always the views or the likes. So I think it also depends on the content that you make. But for me, that's the most important thing. And I think that the most important thing of being a creator is you need to keep the fun in it. So for me, I don't enjoy all of those strategic things. Instagram doesn't even know how to go viral anymore because I follow a lot of the experts when it comes to Instagram. When there's a Q&A and someone is asking like, why is this going viral and this isn't, the answers that I'm getting aren't making sense either. So I sometimes think that the algorithm has outsmarted the people, even the owners, and they don't even know anymore. That's the AI. What we also talked about, that's like algorithm is outsmarting us. We don't know anymore.
What's the hardest part about being a full-time content creator?
Oh gosh. I think that the hardest thing is having so many ideas and not having enough time to work all of them out. That's for me personally. But I think it also has to do with the type of content creator that you are. I'm not the person that just films and posts. I want it to be perfect. And I think in general, it's not for me personally, but sometimes the fear that you're not it anymore. Because there will come a point where the new generation comes in or like different things are becoming popular and you'll see that it will have less opportunities, less campaigns. That's always in the back of your mind. Okay, is this my peak? is this my peak? Is this it? I think that might be like the hardest thing. And sometimes the app like not showcasing you fully to your audience. So the algorithm, that can be quite annoying.
Yeah. What do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months? What's your goal?
First, to see how it works with the content assistant, obviously, what kind of like peace of mind and more opportunities that will give me.
Yeah.
But I think like within the upcoming 12 months, I'm really working on also my presence offline. So as I shortly mentioned, I help a couple of brands behind the scenes. And for example, a hairbrush brand, Tangle Teaser, I'm on their innovation board. So I help them when it comes to new launches and advise them on if it's good for every hair type or for a specific hair type, like what to look into, their brush design, etc. I really enjoyed that. Also speaking at events. So I loved Cannes, even though I never moderated a panel like the impressive panel that you were on with like big names. I think that's fun as well.
Yeah.
And it also makes you meet new people, especially like within the industry. And I really enjoy that. What I would love within the 12 months is obviously, I think that I've figured out what I want to do with YouTube. That would be fun. If I'm even going to do anything with YouTube, I would love to do something big with one of the brands that I'm already working with, and big in a sense of, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get the question that people ask me, is there like a dream brand that you want to work with? I'm already working with my dream brands. I'm blessed enough to already work with those brands, but I really want to make what I'm doing with them even bigger and better, and like really working on that, I would say.
Interesting.
So that was part 2 of my conversation with Angela Onuoha, a trichologist and a creator based in Amsterdam. My takeaway from my conversation with Angela was the following: an image doesn't last long, but truth does. What struck me throughout my conversation with Angela was that she was very diligent in pursuing what feels right for her. As I mentioned in part 1 of my conversation, trichology wasn't necessarily an occupation that she wanted to do to make a living. It was something that she stumbled upon after starting to create content based on her own challenges that she had as a Black woman, specifically around her care and scalp care. It turned out that even though that may sound like to some of us a specific niche category, there was enough people with the same issue or similar challenges as she had, and it turned out that there was enough audience for her to keep creating this content. And eventually she pursued that formally as a field of study to be certified as an official trichologist and to have that kind of credibility to be able to create her own image. But the important thing is that creating an image, especially in the age of TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, that you might think it's an image, the surface, the impression that you project out to the world. But really, what's important is what's behind that image. And that's the thing that you really have to pursue to make sure that you reflect in that image. So if you just focus on creating that image, there will be a point where that image is not going to last. But what really lasts will be the truth behind that image. And even though Angela didn't use those specific words as image, brand, or truth, I really felt that she was always looking at herself. She was always objectively assessing what suits her interest, her talent, and her skill and capability, and try one thing at a time to create that image based on the truth that she knows. One of the questions that I asked her during the conversation was if she followed specific techniques or algorithms of Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms that she's on. And to my surprise, that she said that she actually stopped doing it because it was an endless chase of little techniques that might change in 6 months' time. And what she then decided to focus on was really creating the content that's meaningful, that's useful, that's truthful, so that she is not chasing techniques and algorithms, but really speaks to her audience. And in this age of social media and algorithms, yes, you can hack your way into getting more followers, but eventually, sooner or later, that following will come to an end because algorithms move on, they change, and then you have to chase that again. And that's just not a very productive way of building your following. So my takeaway from my conversation with Angela was an image doesn't last long, but truth does. Creating a brand isn't about creating an image, but it's about telling the truth that you know and as truthfully as you can. If you are listening to this on Spotify, there's a Q&A field, so please do send us your questions and comments. And if you like our podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating. We'll be so grateful.
One announcement that I like to make is that I recently started a new podcast called Hitmakers. It is a podcast about how brands influence culture, and I talk with a good friend of mine, Ana Andjelic, a brand executive, a sociologist, and a published author. I had Ana as a guest on the Creative Mindset podcast, and since then, we've decided to start this podcast together. It is a bi-weekly show that gets released every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. Please do follow that show as well if you're interested in topics at the intersection of brands, business, and culture.
I'm Ray Inamoto, and this is The Creative Mindset. See you next time.